Good morning, students. As in the digestion and absorption, we are at the last part of the topic. So, here in the previous class, I have already discussed about the digestion of the food. In the digestion of the food, we have come across with the mechanical method as well as the chemical method. But when it comes to the small intestine, the chemical digestion is going to occur. So the chemical digestion, it is going to occur first in the duodenum of the small intestine, and after that the end products which are being formed inside the small intestine, that is with respect to the duodenum, or the end products are being formed inside the duodenum. So those products will be sent next to the jejunum and ileum, because the end products which are formed inside the duodenum, they are not completely simple and they are not the absorbable forms. So because of this, the end products which are being formed inside the duodenum, they are being sent next to the ileum and the jejunum. So there again the complete chemical digestion is going to takes place with the help of the enzymes which are present inside the succus entericus. What is the succus entericus? Succus entericus is the secretion from the goblet cells and the secretion from the breast border cells of the mucosal layer of the intestine. So together they are going to form the intestinal juice called as succus entericus. So this succus entericus, it will be consisting of the enzymes which are being used for the breakdown of the end products which are being formed inside the duodenum. So by using the enzymes from the succus entericus, the end products which are being formed inside the duodenum are being completely broken down, and they are being made as simple also, and they are even they are in the form of now absorbable also. So after all this, whatever the undigested, unabsorbed food substances will be present, that will be sent to the large intestine. So when the unabsorbed, undigested food, the substance which is sent from the last part of the small intestine, that is ileum, to the first part of the large intestine, that is the cecum. So once the unabsorbed, undigested food enters from the cecum to the from ileum to the cecum, again that undigested, unabsorbed food substance should not come in the backward direction. So to control, to regulate the backflow of, or to prevent the backflow of unabsorbed, undigested food, there is a presence of the sphincter called as ileocecal valve, or the ileocecal sphincter, which is going to prevent the backflow of undigested, unabsorbed food substances from the cecum to the ileum. Okay, so this undigested, unabsorbed food is called as the feces. So this feces, it is getting temporarily stored inside the rectum. Why? Because until that undigested, unabsorbed food, what we call it as the feces, until is being thrown out of our body, until it is being defecated, it will be stored inside the rectum. Once the rectum completely gets filled with the feces, then it is going to give the signal with the help of our the CNS. It is going to help in the release of the feces, or the ejection of the feces, and that ejection of the feces is called as defecation. So now you have come across with the alimentary canal, how the alimentary canal is going to work with mechanical also and with the chemical method. So now you have to understand how this the activities of the digestive system, the activities of the gastrointestinal tract, or the activities of the alimentary canal is being controlled. So to control the activities of the digestive system, it is being controlled by the neural mechanism as well as the hormonal mechanism. But here you can observe, whenever you see food on the roadside, or whenever you might now, as it is the summer, so you all might have come across with the seasonal fruit, that is the mango. So whenever you see a pickle or the fruit, you are after seeing that fruit, immediately your mouth is going to become watery. Okay, or whenever you see your favorite food items on the roadside or in the hotel, immediately you will start, your mouth will start becoming watery. Okay, so how it is going to become watery? Because when you see your sight, when you see with the help of your eyes, so that after observing with your vision, your nose is going to take the smell of that food. When your eyes and the nose are going to perform their activities, immediately your brain, your central nervous system is going to identify that food and makes your salivary glands to stimulate the secretion of saliva. So because of the secretion of the saliva, your mouth is going to become watery whenever you see your favorite food items. Okay, so this is with respect to the secretion. I said that your food, whatever it is going to enter inside your alimentary canal, that is with respect to the oral cavity or with respect to the stomach, so there the muscular activities is going to takes place. Okay, so that muscular activities means contraction and the relaxation of the muscles of the alimentary canal parts are going to takes place. So how it is being regulated or how it is being controlled? So that is being controlled by the neural mechanism also. Neural mechanism means it is being controlled by the central nervous system, and it is even controlled by the local mechanism with the help of the central nervous system. Okay, then in case of this alimentary canal, some hormones are also being secreted. Okay, so that secretion, the hormones are being controlled by the hormones are going to control the secretion of the digestive juices, where those hormones are said to be as the local hormones which are being produced from the gastric and the intestinal mucosa. So what are those local hormones which are going to help in the control of the secretion of the digestive juices? That are discussed in the hormone chapter, that is the endocrine lesson in that lesson. So you might have remembered the endocrine cells which are present in the different parts of the gastrointestinal tract. They are going to secrete the peptide hormones like gastrin, secretin, cholecytokinin, and the gastric inhibitory peptide. So you all know that the gastric glands are going to secrete the gastric juice, and they are going, the gastric glands which are consisting of the gastric cells, they are going to secrete the hydrochloric acid and the pepsinogen. Okay, but who are going to make these gastric glands to secrete the gastric juice and the hydrochloric acid and the pepsinogen? So that is being made by the local hormone called as the gastrin. Okay, then you know one more thing, that is the pancreas. Pancreatic juice is consisting of even the bicarbonate ions. So who are going to make the pancreas to stimulate the secretion of the bicarbonate ions? Means it is the one more enzyme called as secretin. Then you all know that that is the pancreas is going to secrete the pancreatic juice, and the gallbladder is going to help in the storage of the bile juices. So who are going to make the secretion of the pancreas to secrete pancreatic juice, and the gallbladder to store the bile juices? So that is being stimulated by one more local hormone called as cholecytokinin. It, with a short form, it is called as CCK. Then one more is gastroinhibitory peptide. So this gastroinhibitory peptide is going to inhibit the gastric secretion. Why it is going to inhibit the gastric secretion? Because if the gastric secretion is going to become more, then it may lead to the pH getting altered in our gastrointestinal tract. So to maintain that pH of the gastrointestinal tract, so this gastroinhibitory peptide local hormone is going to help. So these are the hormones which are going to control the digestive juices, where they are being carried out by the local hormones, and they are being produced from the gastric and the mucosal cells. Okay, so the next topic is absorption of the digested food products. So what is this absorption? As I've told, the digestion is just a process which helps in the breakdown of the larger food substances into smaller food substances. But those smaller food substances should be in the form of always absorbable. Why they should be in the form of always absorbable? Because if they are in the form of completely the simple food product, if it is in the form of the simple molecules, then it is very easy for our body cells to absorb the food from absorb the energy from that particular food molecules. So this is called as the absorption. Okay, so what is the actual absorption? Absorption is the process by which the end products of the digestion. So please recall the end products of digestion. So end products of digestion. Now consider you have taken a glass of milk. Obviously in that the carbohydrates and proteins are present, but consider now the proteins are, take the example of only the proteins. So when the milk enters to the stomach, there the milk proteins are being broken down. Is it 100% the milk proteins are being broken down? No, only partial breakdown of the milk proteins is going to take place. Okay, then after that that milk, then that food what you have taken, it is being sent to the small intestine. So there in the small intestine again the proteins are being broken down with the help of the pancreatic enzyme. But where the food is going to enter first? To the duodenum. So in the duodenum the proteins are being broken down just as dipeptides. So here I cannot consider the end product of the digestion is dipeptide. Okay, so these dipeptides are again being sent to the ileum and the jejunum. So there the dipeptides are being completely broken down and made as the end product, which cannot be again simplified. So the actual end product of the proteins are amino acids. So this amino acids is considered as the end product of the protein digestion. If you take the example of carbohydrates, then carbohydrates, the end product of the digestion is that is the glucose. Okay, here as I gave the example of the milk, so we are going to get the end product of the milk with respect to the carbohydrates as the glucose and galactose. So these end products which are being formed after the process of digestion are being passed through the intestinal mucosa. Intestinal mucosa means they are being absorbed by the villi. So those villi, please understand the meaning of absorption, then this topic becomes very easy. So the whatever the end products are being formed inside the ileum and the jejunum, so those end products are being passed to the intestinal mucosa. So intestinal mucosa means the intestinal mucosa of they are having some of the modifications to form the villi. So these villi, they are going to take the end products of the digestion. When they take the end products of the digestion inside the villi, you all know that the villi are called as lacteals. Okay, or else you know that the small intestine, wall of the small intestine is being made up of four layers. What are those four layers? The innermost is mucosa, next is submucosa, after that it is muscularis, and the outermost is the serosa. So here the mucosa layer is going to form the villi, finger like a projection. So below the villi, which layer will be present? That is obviously the submucosa. So that submucosa will be made up of loose connective tissue, where the loose connective tissue is supplied with the blood vessels and the lymph vessels. So the end products which are being formed after the digestion, they are being sent to the intestinal mucosa. From the intestinal mucosa means they are being sent to the villi. From that villi they are being made to enter inside the blood or the lymph. So this is the meaning of absorption, or this is how the food which is being formed inside the ileum and the jejunum, they are being absorbed. But here there are some exceptions. Why? Because food, if you take glucose and make that glucose to be added inside the water, obviously that glucose and the water is going to completely get dissolved and both are going to mix together. Okay, so like that, take the milk, consider the milk as the protein source, and that proteins are milk, you mix it with the water, again they are getting mixed inside the water. Then take the example of one more, that is the fats means take the oil substances. So that oil, if you add it into the water, water is going to mix with the oil? So it is not going to mix with the oil. So here there are some exceptions with respect to the absorption, where the food molecules are made up of carbohydrates, proteins, they are getting easily soluble, easily they are going to be absorbed, whereas with respect to the food substances which are not getting dissolved, which are not being soluble, so there it is going to be adopting one more mechanism. So for the absorption of the digested food products, there are two mechanisms. One is active, or it is also called as facilitated mechanism, and the second one is a passive mechanism. So here facilitated mechanism means to absorb the food substances, it is going to take the help of carrier ions. What is the carrier ion which is going to help for the absorption of the food substances? It is called as the sodium. So here with respect to the active and the facilitated mechanism, so there to absorb the food substances like fructose, amino acid, they are going to take the help of the carrier ions called as the sodium. Whereas the passive mechanism is not going to take the help of, they are not going to take the help of any carrier ions. Is it clear? So I said that there are two methods of the absorption of the digested food products, that is active and the passive mechanism. But here how these two are going to be absorbed? What is the principle behind the passive or active mechanism? Is that is simple diffusion. Simple diffusion means where the movement of the molecules will be higher, where the movement of the molecules will be lesser. From the higher region, the molecules will start moving towards the lower region. So this is with respect to the simple diffusion. Okay, then if you take the example of once here the food substances which are being absorbed, they are going to takes place in the two methods. you all know that in the intestine, completely the intestine is made up of that is villi. So these villi are going to take the food substances, means food substances where below the villi they are less, above the villi it is more. So obviously from higher region the low to the lower region, the food substances, the end products are being sent. Okay, after that, that food products has to be sent now to the blood. So there that food which is going to enter inside the blood, that is going to depend upon concentration gradient. Concentration gradient means it is going to work with the principle of the quantity. Okay, where the quantity is less, where the quantity is more, from the more it is moving towards the less region. Okay, so this is with respect to the absorption of the digested food products, where those digested food products includes the glucose, amino acid, or some of the electrolytes like chloride ions. Okay, the amino acid, glucose, and the electrolytes, they are being absorbed with the help of a simple diffusion. And this amino acid, glucose, they are being absorbed, they are being sent inside the blood vessels, made to mix or soluble inside the blood. So that is being depending upon the concentration gradient. But here with respect to the transportation of the water, so water transportation is going to depend upon the osmotic gradients. Gradients means with respect to the higher region and the lower region. Okay, so here I said that the active and the passive transport of the absorption of the food products, they are being in that the active is going to take, that is they are going to use the helper or the carrier ions like the sodium. So when they need the helper or the carrier ions, they are going to take the help of, or they require the energy. Okay, then these carbohydrates, amino acids, they are easily getting soluble in the water and the blood. Okay, but the fatty acid, where the fatty acids are made up of the fats, the glycerol, so there as they are not being soluble inside the water, or they are not being soluble in the blood, so they are being as the insoluble, because the fatty acid and glycerol are not going to mix in the water, so we call them as the insoluble products. So when they are insoluble, they cannot be absorbed inside the blood. So in such case, so these droplets, the small droplets, they are going to move easily inside the intestinal mucosa. Okay, so when they move inside the intestinal mucosa, they are being called as the micelles. So these micelles will be coated by a protein. These micelles are being again reformed. So when these micelles are being reformed by the coating of the protein, so actually it is the fat globule, it is the micelles, that is the fatty acid and the glycerol which are being sent inside the intestinal mucosa, means the villi are going to absorb it. Okay, but these villi, after once they absorb, they are going to send it inside the blood. So here in that blood, as it is insoluble, they cannot move inside as the blood is not going to absorb it. In that condition, which the fatty acid and glycerol are going to move inside the intestinal mucosa, they are called as the micelles. So these micelles are being coated with the protein layer, a fat globule which is being coated by the protein, that is called as chylomicrons. So these chylomicrons will be transported inside the lymph vessel. Why this lymph vessel? Because you all know that the lymph vessels and the blood vessels are, if they are being supplied to the villi, we call them as the lacteals. So these chylomicrons are being absorbed by the lymph vessels, and ultimately the lymph vessel are again being releasing these chylomicrons inside the blood only. So this is with respect to the absorption of the digested food product. So the absorption is going to takes place inside your mouth, inside the stomach. Mouth means it is inside your oral cavity, the stomach, small intestine, and the large intestine. But among these are the different parts of the alimentary canal where the absorption is going to takes place, but the maximum absorption is going to takes place inside the small intestine. Okay, in the small intestine only. So inside the mouth, here the table is being given. So this is going to give the absorption of the food parts inside the different part of the digestive system. So in the mouth, what are being absorbed means here the lower side of the tongue and the mucosa of the mouth, they are going to absorb, and they are going to send the absorbed substances like the drugs inside the blood capillaries. Then when it comes to the stomach, so the stomach is going to absorb the water and the simple sugars and even the alcohol also. Then with respect to the large intestine, so the large intestine is going to absorb water, minerals, and the drugs. Okay, but when it comes to the last part, that is the of the digestive system, that is called the small intestine. So this small intestine, last part means in among mouth, stomach, small intestine, and large intestine, I've told the four different parts of the alimentary canal. In that, the last one is the small intestine, which is going to absorb maximum of the nutrients, because the final products of the digestion are being formed inside the small intestine only. So that's why it is going to absorb glucose, fructose, fatty acid, glycerol, amino acid, and whatever the absorbed food substances will be there. So they are being sent inside the mucosa, and from the mucosa they are going to enter inside the blood stream and the lymph vessels. So this absorbed food substances is going to finally reach the tissues. So those tissues are going to utilize the absorbed substances to do or to carry out their activities. So this process where the absorbed food substances are reaching the tissues, and those tissues are going to utilize it for carrying out the activities. So this process is called as assimilation. Okay, then the after all the absorption, what the food remains as the waste, where we consider it as unabsorbed food. So that unabsorbed food is sent to the rectum, and in the rectum it gets stored, and from the rectum it is being sent out through the anal opening, that is called as anus. So that process of ejecting out the undigested unabsorbed food through the anus is called as a defecation, where this process of defecation is a voluntary process. Okay, and here even this sending off or ejecting out the undigested unabsorbed food, that is also carried out by the peristaltic movement. So the last part of the digestive system is the disorders of the digestive system. So that I'll be taking it in the next class. Thank you.